Welcome to the Great Outdoors Show with Jason and Shane.
Guess we could say welcome to the first episode of the Great Outdoors Cast with Jason and Shane Coffee Outdoors.
Welcome, welcome.
I can't believe that this name was not taken. There's the Great Outdoors Show is like all encompassing and perfect, right?
It's too perfect. Maybe somebody had it and they lost it.
I don't know. I couldn't find anything, but yeah, let's talk a little bit first about what we want to do with this show.
Okay.
So I just want to show what we do in the Great Outdoors. I want to bring people on and do interviews in the future, talk about what we do in the Great Outdoors, find new equipment to review, basically what our YouTube channels used to be, but compressed into one show.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, one weekly place to go to get all the Great Outdoors information from us.
What did you do this week, Jason?
I went for a 10 plus mile midnight moonlit hike out in the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve. So I like to, at least once a year, go out to Tallgrass because there's no trees out there when there's a full moon in the sky, and hike at night because it's a, amazing experience. You don't need a flashlight. You just see the trail and see, all the surroundings and potentially see the buffalo if you're in that pasture. But that pasture, I set up the hike, so I'm not in there very long. But yeah, I did 10 miles and I actually made a friend while I was out there.
You made a friend?
Yeah, about a mile into the hike, a dog showed up. A dog showed up and followed me for the rest of the hike for like 3.5 hours. It took a while for him to like warm up to me. And finally I found his name tag, and his name was Red. And it was a border collie. And when I got back to the area that he joined me, there was a gate there and there was a house on the other side of the gate. So I walked him over there, and they had been looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was fun. He followed me the whole way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I was pretty sore afterwards, and yeah, it was about 4-hour hike by myself.
So wait a minute, it was dark.
It was dark,
and a dog walks up on you.
Yeah, I spotted the dog with my flashlight because the moon hadn't come up yet, and I just went through a pasture fence from where the bison were to where the bison wasn't, and I was scanning around and saw the dog standing like 100 yards away. And then it's like stopped and looked at me and ran over to me and wouldn't get close. And, nothing I could really do, just walked along with me. It would run ahead and stop and wait for me. So, yeah.
It would scare the crap out of me at first.
Yeah, I was worried. Like, I mean, if, it's a strange dog. Didn't look threatening, but you never know. And it didn't come close to me at first. It came within a few feet. But yeah, I knew that there weren't any like wolves in this area. But still, it's like a farm dog. So,
and I can't remember off the top of my head, but there are specific colors for dogs' eyes, like if it's a predator or if it's like a deer or whatever. So I remember there were something that went along with the eye color. So I'm gonna have to look into that some more, because I remember it was like white and greens and browns. So, but yeah, I can't remember what it was, but I remember I looked into it because along these trails you'll run into a coyote.
There were definitely coyotes out there. It ended up that they usually let the dog out because they're right next to that area, but there's hardly the dog does follow people, but there's never anybody out there at night. So if I wouldn't have been hiking, the dog would have just ran around and came back home.
Yeah, probably. That's awesome though.
Yeah, there was a couple times that it barked at something, And I was like, do I want to come up around where the dog was barking at? But nothing happened like that. So there were coyotes out there, but I'm not worried about coyotes, and that you can hear them off in the distance. But yeah, so that was fun. That's what I did in the great outdoors this week. What about you?
Well, I went truck bed camping again. So I have this diesel heater from a company called H Calorie. I've seen a lot of these diesel heaters all over the internet and stuff like that, and I've seen some where they have like the tank on the inside, and I just kind of really wanted to get away from that. This one that I have has an external tank on it, and I've just been kind of running the paces through it. So a couple weeks ago, I used it and I hooked it directly up to my truck battery to run it, and there was a lot of testing involved. Like, first of all, these diesel heaters have glow plugs in them, so they just really run high in amps. Well, these battery bank systems that you can buy, you have a battery bank system to charge your electronics and stuff like that when we're camping. Um, a friend of mine, Chris from Barnyard Outdoors, he actually brought in a bunch of his battery banks. He's really big into solar stuff like that when he's out camping, and they'll go camping for a week on end, rely on solar panels and these banks. Well, we tried every one of his EcoFlows that he has, and he has like the Delta, the River 2 Pro, maybe it's the Delta Pro. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Sorry, Chris. But anyway, we tried to use these, and there's like an automatic shutoff once you try to pull too many amps. Even though like the control board will take a lot more, it just kept cutting down. So I dialed it in to where I need to use a marine battery or my truck battery, and then I needed to work on my venting. So this last week, what I did was I actually I'll send you a picture you can post up on there. I actually made a vent. So, I made an attachment for my truck setup. So that way I can now hook my ductwork directly into my truck and just pump air right through it. You'll probably get that in a moment, and you can share that.
I'll set it up in post so people can see
no
it. Where did you go? You didn't mention where you were.
So I'm getting there.
Okay.
We were originally going to go to a place not far from me, but they just done a bunch of remodeling to these campsites, and we weren't sure if we were going to even be able to get in there. So my buddy Steve, he had gone ahead because I had to work. He went ahead of me, and he found a really cool spot at Arrowhead Park in Neola, Iowa. So he went there, found a spot, and I joined him when I got off of work, and we hooked up. He has the same diesel heater, and it's a funny story. His son had asked me on a Facebook or something like that about the heater I was using. Well, Steve got the same heater for Christmas, so that was kind of a cool little twist. But anyway, so we're using the same heaters. We tried to run both of them off of one battery. Now I ended up using my my truck battery, and I don't know. It was really cool. It's a cool experience to just go out and try different things. Normally I like to use, a hot tent, and I like to use the wood stove. And there's just something about that feel when you're feeding the stove into it. But it's kind of cool when you can just pull into a camp spot, get your diesel heater going, pump some air in there, and just enjoy it. It's camping. It's another version of it. I like all types of camping. So this is a way that I found that it's kind of cool, and you go adventuring and go 4-wheel driving. If that's something that you're into, go 4-wheeling with it.
All right. So this is my equipment of the week. It's a tent that is brand new to me. I picked it up from someone who's, I believe his father-in-law owned it, and 75-year-old Colorado Tent and Awning Company 9x9 umbrella square tent, fully canvas. It's in great condition. There's one of the tie downs for the stakes has come loose. I need to patch that up, but there's no holes. There's no tears, and the zippers work. And yeah, I set it up today actually, and I had it set it up in my backyard. I'm going to put a stove jack in the top. I actually got a hold of the company that makes this tent. It's owned by Denver Tent now. It's changed names, but he verified that this was that company made in Denver, Colorado in the early 1950s. So it's at least 75 years old. And I actually found a ad because the tent was originally a Brooks tent.
That's beautiful.
And this company was bought by Colorado Tent Awning Company. But yeah, I'm excited to use it. I'm gonna put a little bit of waterproofing on it. I need to maybe put some rubber things where the poles hold in the corners so when no water comes in. But this is what I'll be using out at our winter camp coming up.
That looks great. I love it. I absolutely love it. So the zippers, that was what I wanted to ask you. How are they're double zippers? So is there one come down so you can split it?
So there is a screen there with the zipper, and then the flaps close and there's a zipper on that as well. And then the awning part that's sticking out, the rain fly, let me go to the side view. That actually can fold down and tie down for extra protection or roll up if you don't want it. It does have a window in the back as well that opens and closes.
Is it a mesh window, like a netted window?
It is a mesh window with a canvas cover.
Great. So no plastic then.
Yeah. It's going to take some practice to potentially set this up by myself. I tried to set this up by myself today, and I had to have the wife come out and hold one of the corners while I put it, together so it wouldn't fall over. But yeah, it's 9x9. I'm able to stand up in it, and I'm 6'4".
Gosh,
so
you're a monster. I'm saying, you beast.
Yeah. So yeah, the next step is tomorrow morning. I'm going to put a stove jack in the top and do a test burn of my new stove in there.
Where are you going to put the stove jack?
So it'll be on the right side on the top when you're facing it on the top part. I did talk to like I said, the company that manufactured this, and that's where they suggested to put it. I got the stove jack online and the materials to adhere it to the canvas and a floor mat, a no burn floor mat for below the stove. And I did get a new stove, which I'll talk about in the next episode.
Oh, great. Yeah,
that's my
it's so cool.
Equipment of the week. I'm excited to get it roaring and hot in there.
Your equipment is a lot more exciting than mine.
All equipment is exciting. I just happen to have just got that. So
I know, but it looks great, man. When you told me on the phone that you were getting it, or when you're coming back from it, I was like,
yeah.
What? And it's gorgeous. But I like the fact that you were able to find some history on it. That me, I love that stuff. So when you found the history, it just sucked me in. So
I actually got all that done before I purchased it. I got all the information from the company before I went out and got it. Just you never know what you're going to get online, especially from like Facebook Marketplace, buying it from a person. And the guy was really cool, and he didn't know what he had. But he, it wasn't big enough for his family is the only reason he was selling it.
Let me show you my gear for the week.
Yeah.
So I have actually, I used this twice now. But this is what I've really been focusing on right now. This is the Fire Maple Sunflower Stove. Look at this case. I freaking love this case. But the sunflower stove is cool because first of all, it's an isobutane stove. So it's a canister stove. You have to use a canister with it. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it is one of these canisters like this. Big or small. But here is the stove. And this stove is cool because it's a radiant stove, like radiant heat. And it gets hot fast. So you cook on it, like this. But then what you can also do, and this here, you have your little regulator over here. So get a good view of that. But if you don't want to cook on it, there's a hookup on the bottom here. There's a mount, if you see that right here.
Oh yeah.
And you can actually put that on a tripod and stick it up, like say by you, and then put some, if you have your, it's a quarter 20, so your regular tripod will hold it for like a camera or whatever else, but then you can just set it up higher towards you for the radiant heat. And you can just set it on the ground with this guy here with the footings and let it set at an angle.
Okay.
Blow heat up at you. So I think that it would have to be like a really calm environment to use this to kind of keep radiant heat on, or a mild day. I would say that the best place this thing would come in handy as a radiant heater is if you're at like a state park and you need to go use the restroom and the bathrooms are really cold. Put this down by your feet when you're using the restroom. So this morning when I was making my tea on this stove, before I made my tea, we went around and cleaned up camp, and I turned this on, and Steve and I both walked up and we just put our hands on it, and it just above it, and it warmed us up really, really well. And it's really, really been enjoying it. This is the sunflower from Fire Maple. Now, people have complained about this piece right here, your little pot stand and guard, about it like coming off. Well, it's a pot stand. On most stoves, the pot stands come off. So I haven't had an issue with this thing coming off like when I've been using it, because it sits flat and I cook off. I did have a little bit of slight warpage on it, just slight warpage just from this, but that's metal. I mean, metal gets hot and it bends a little bit, but it's a cool stove. I've really, really enjoyed using it. I like the idea of it being kind of multi-purpose. I always like to buy things that have many purposes, but to be honest with you, I'll use it as a stove. I don't know how much I'm going to use it to keep the chill off of me, but the fact that they added this whole thing for a tripod, who knows? I mean, I guess if I was like in the hunting blind or something like that, I could set it right up next to me and keep me warm, because my bottom half is going to be warm in my overalls. So
how loud is it if you were to use it in a hunting blind?
Oh, it's not loud at all.
No.
Well, since it's radiant heat, you don't have the sound.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? Since it's since it's also radiant heat, it burns longer than say like a regular isobutane stove, because they're just kind of dumping out the fuel and you're regulating it. This one, you're feeding that ceramic base platform, and then everything's just kind of staying around it. I did not use a windscreen on it, and I had no issues with it. So
how long would you say it would take to boil a little cup of water? Just average.
Oh, so let's see. It took about under 10 minutes to boil my kettle, which was 1 liter of water.
Let's do Midwest Bushcraft Show winter camp. We got about a month and a half from the time of this recording.
Yep.
Let me pull up this graphic here. It's February 23rd and 24th at Riverfront Campground and Canoe outside of Lebanon, Missouri. Now, I did spell Lebanon, Missouri wrong on here, but it's the only Lebanon in Missouri, so I'm not too worried about it. It's in central Missouri near Bennett Springs, if people know where that's at. And tickets are selling. We have booked some, not booked, but this is more of a community-based event. People that are going to be coming out camping are also going to be giving presentations and demonstrations on various different bushcraft and outdoor things on the 24th. Now, if you don't want to camp with us, if you don't like winter camping, that's fine. You can come out just for the day on Saturday. Those tickets are all for sale on MidwestBushcraftShow.com. We have 2-night camping plus the day of the event, 1-night camping plus the day of the event, and then just day passes. Since we're on the river and we're right next to Bennett Springs, which is really well known for fly fishing, we're going to have a fly fishing element added into this event. We have at least one person at the time of this recording, and maybe more than one person, giving various different kinds of fly fishing demonstrations. I know the one that's verified and booked is doing a traditional / he said emergency, but it's more of if you need to catch something to eat. So he's going to do an hour on that. We also have someone that's coming out to do a cooking demonstration. Well, they're camping with us as well.
Trail cooking.
Trail cooking and other different kinds of camp cooking. So Kevin Johnson from Midwest Woodcraft is coming down to do different demonstrations, and I don't have a lot of setup information on the different demonstrations at the time of this recording, but it'll all be in an email that's going out tomorrow. We'll do weekly emails. So go sign up for our email list. Go follow all the Midwest Bushcraft stuff on all the different various social media platforms to sign up and follow us. More information will be coming out about this. And I'm excited to use my new tent. I also think that if going forward, if this is successful, we might turn the yearly event into 4 seasonal campouts.
Yeah.
Rather than, maybe we'll still go back to the other annual full show, but I kind of feel like I want to go in this direction, honestly, personally. Especially if it's successful. It's more community building based to me than like our last year event, our 2023 event was successful.
It was,
but it didn't have the feel that the first one had. Not as many people attended the presentations, and which is the core of what I want this event to be. So we may just go forward with 4 campouts a year with most of the elements, because we're still going to have vendors camping with us and setting up as well. So if you out there want to join us at this winter camp, just go buy a ticket online, and all the information will be there on that website.
So there are also a couple things, like when we reach out to the community and we're like, hey, do you enjoy camping? Where should we do the Midwest Bushcraft Show? Well, we're doing that for a reason, because we're trying to bring the show to people where there's a demand, where people want to see this show, where people want to experience it, because that's why we're in Lebanon. That's where we started to get a feel for a lot of people saying, hey, come down here. We need to see something like that in this area. And, so Jason and I are like, well, why not make this show more mobile? So that's what we're going to do. But also, I want to talk about the trade blanket as well. The trade blanket. So, if you are camping or if you're not camping, something that is always near and dear to my heart is camping gear and kind of like the fellowship around camping. So a trade blanket is exactly what it sounds like, a trade blanket. So bring some wares and items that you want to trade. And set them in front of your area, if you're camping or if you're just hanging out for the day, and people will trade you wares for wares. No money's involved in the trade blanket. We prefer to stay as a trade. I mean, of course, it's your gear. You're going to make up your mind, but traditionally we would like it to keep it as a trade. That's how gear and stuff like that gain stories and kind of culture and whatever it is that you do in the outdoors. So a trade blanket for me is really, really exciting, because I just like to see what people have and what they're bringing to the table. And it's really cool when you run into somebody, years later, and they're still using that piece of gear or kit that you had, that you traded off for something else. It's really interesting. And I'm really excited about that as well, from a non-logistic standpoint, of course.
Yeah. We also, we're going to be doing a raffle again. We have all kinds of great sponsors sending us stuff right now. We'll do a separate video just for that stuff on the Midwest Bushcraft Show YouTube channels and whatnot. I would like to mention that we do have a higher level sponsor this year, which is Three Ridges Gear Co. They are sending a full winter hot tent for the raffle, and they're also going to be there at the event and set up like a dozen different tents of theirs, so for you to go through and look at and tour, and then they'll be on site to answer a bunch of questions about their products. I decided we're going to do a campfire story contest again around the main campfire for the event, and Hooks Outdoors is sponsoring that. And they are also going to be giving away an item to the winner of that, which I have in front of me. And I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared to announce that. But yeah, he will be giving away, I think it's a one-legged table.
Like we use in hammock camping, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Let me pull that up just so that it's a one-legged table. I'll put an image of that in post for this and a link to Hooks Outdoors so you can check that out, and everybody else that's going to be donating items to give away. But yeah, Hooks decided he was going to sponsor the campfire that night.
That's awesome.
That'll be the main night. That'll be the 24th. So he'll be there with his stuff, which he has some great stuff at our last event for sale. And yeah, so this is turning into what's going to be a great event, I think. All right. Thanks for watching the first episode of the Great Outdoors Show. You can find us on all the social medias out there, or greatoutdoorscast.com. That'll be linked to all the locations that you can watch our show. We'll be on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and several other places. And you'll be able to find those links to all those places on our website. You go to greatoutdoorscast@gmail.com and send us an email of anything you'd like us to add to this show, or any comments you'd like to have us read out on this show. Or if you'd like to be interviewed on this show to talk about something that you like to do in the great outdoors.
I got a good email. I got a good one. Email me your first outdoor failures, and I want to start our next episode with that, because I guarantee we've got some good ones.
Yeah. We'll come up with our own as well.
Oh, I've got some good ones.